We're going to work on this dump truck today. Hopefully I can get it started. I have not started this thing in over a year. Unfortunately, I just don't have time to ever work on this thing. It just sits here. I've had several people stop by here and try to buy it from me, and I keep saying no because I need it, but I just don't have time to work on it. I probably should have sold it already and just bought something in better condition. So the last time I used this was over a year ago. I was taking down a tree over here. I made a video about it. The carburetor was leaking. So we're going to replace a needle and seat, something like that, needle and seat on the back side of the carb, and then hopefully we can get this thing started. The battery in this dump truck is no good, but I'm not putting $175 into this thing right now because I never use it. So I'm going to pull the battery out of my GMC Sierra, and we will use that for today. It is January 9th and it's about 40 degrees in Georgia. I am freezing and miserable. I'm from the South. I do not function well in cold weather. Have you ever heard not to put a battery on the ground? Is that true, that it drains it, or is that a myth? A lot of times when I charge a good battery, I'll put it on a piece of wood instead of just sitting it on a concrete floor. But I've never looked into it. I've always heard if you put a battery on the ground, it'll drain it. This battery tray is completely rusted out. There's also a hole in the fender down there. There it is. I've looked at these battery trays. Man, they're like $50 or $60. Pretty sure this is the positive. I don't know why I'm struggling so much with this battery, but before I hook the negative up, let's see if we can fix the carburetor first. Just a lot of rat droppings in here. Back when I was using it, moving it around every couple of days, maybe that's not a good idea. I don't want to lose this thing. Back when I was using this thing pretty regular, at least every weekend, I didn't have a problem with ants and mice. But when it sits here for a while, it gets a lot of critters in there. Now this is the problem right here. We're going to pull that out and replace it. I am no mechanic. I'm more of a parts changer. I did have this carburetor adjusted pretty good as far as where the floats were, and this thing was running okay. Of course, now that I'm going to replace the needle and seat, it's probably going to get out of adjustment, so I'll probably have to adjust it. I bought a new cheap clamp here for the GoPro, so we're going to test that out for the first time today. Yeah, this thing's pretty loose. So I think actually I'm going to leave the nut in there. I'm just going to replace this top piece. I think it's leaking because of the gaskets. So what I'm really going to do, I'm just going to leave the original nut and this screw. I'm just going to put new gaskets on here. I don't really know how they go. I'm looking at this and I think maybe the big one goes on there, then the nut, and then this little one goes on here. That's what we're doing. Last time, as soon as you turn the fuel pump on, this thing was just, it was leaking pretty good. It was kind of gushing gasoline out of here, so hopefully it's going to stop that. I would not be surprised if I can't get this started. For one, the gasoline in here, it's a year old. And a while back I was messing with a bunch of wiring in here. I was going to make a video about it. I still have a bunch of footage trying to clean everything up. If you see my other videos, you know this used to be a throttle body injection, and the previous owner did a carb swap on it. So there was all kind of sensors and wiring, and you see there's stuff everywhere. So I've been slowly trying to clean it up, get rid of all the useless stuff. But now I have concern I've probably left something unplugged or who knows what. But we got the battery hooked up. Hopefully we got the carb fixed. Let's turn this thing on and see if we even get power to the fuel pump. Let's, what we got here? Oh, yeah. Clutch is very hard. We in neutral. Let's see if the fuel pump turns on. I do hear it running. And the battery gauge just went up. Okay, you may not can see it through all the spider webs, but it's pumping fuel. Oh, still leaking though. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, it's leaking. It's leaking right here. So let me turn this thing off. At least we know it still pumps fuel. I was worried because this thing has got some real sketchy wiring in it. I mean, it's got residential wire nuts and all kind of craziness under here. So the good thing, the seat, the needle and seat gasket, it seems to not be leaking, but now it's leaking right here. So let's see if we can fix that. On a side note, before I start working on this, I'm looking in the little windows here, the sight glass. You probably can't tell, but it looks like the fuel level, it does look like this back one's a little bit high, so I'm probably going to have to adjust that float. But let's fix this first. Took me a while to find the right wrenches, so I'm going to have to loosen up both of these. I hate to do that since this one's not leaking. And honestly, I haven't done this in forever. Okay. Huh. It does. There's a little screen in there. Oh, and a gasoline all over my hands, which doesn't really smell like gas. It smells more like paint thinner. Probably because it's a year old, I guess. So I'm gonna use some plumber's tape, Teflon tape. I know they make this stuff that's supposed to be gasoline or chemical resistant or something. I see the problem is I don't know if it's leaking here or here. I don't know which one of these. So I'm going to put Teflon tape on both of these, and hopefully that fixes the problem. Maybe I need to replace this little metal gasket here. Alright, we took a little break, had some lunch, did some looking online, and no Teflon tape. We're going to take all the tape back off of there. We'll take this one back out. Even though the tape that I just put on there is pretty much completely gone, the gas just eats right through it. So this piece, it's supposed to be this metal washer that seals it. It is not the threads that seal, but the metal washer. Put our screen back in there. Hopefully I didn't just tighten that too much. Here's our other one. Put our little screen on there. And put this thing back up in here. Alright, hopefully that's gonna work. We got all the tape, all the Teflon tape off of there. Let's see if it leaks. I am shivering. So cold out here. Battery gauge just went up. I hear the fuel pump running. Okay, we got fuel in the filter and there's no fuel leaking out, so that's good news. I'm not even wasting my time starting this without some starting fluid. I probably need to put some fresh gas in the tank too, but she's a cold one. Oh. Come on. I think we might have found the problem. We have fuel. It's old, but we have fuel. We obviously have at least a little bit of battery power, but I don't think we have spark because my distributor has been unplugged. Right here, my 12-volt wire to the distributor is not plugged in. How about that? I probably unplugged that back when I was messing with all this wiring and stuff a few months ago. Let's give it a try again. Lost my key there for a minute. Yeah! The gas is really old, but at least it tried to start. Okay. I feel like I'm gonna have to put some fresh gas in this thing. Let's try it one more time. Yeah, once it burns through the starting fluid, that's it. But after 1 year, at least it started up. Okay, it's not leaking gas. That's good. I'm going to try to adjust this float down a little bit. The sight glass, it's almost completely full, and this one is about halfway. I used to keep it about halfway. We're making some slow progress. It looks like now the back fuel bowl is even more full or fuller. So I'm going to try to adjust it the other way now and try to lower that down. Well, we were smoking pretty bad there, but this thing always smokes when you first start it. Unfortunately, right here, my Rode microphone that I've got hooked to my GoPro, it quit working. This is one of the best parts of the video because I finally get the dump truck warmed up and it starts running really good. I've talked about it in some other videos. This dump truck, it's very cold-natured, even in the summertime. Normally, I have to hold down the accelerator for 30 seconds to a minute. Once the engine gets warmed up a little bit, it will usually idle pretty good. This truck always smokes when you first start it. It usually goes away once the engine warms up. I have no idea how many miles are on this truck. The odometer doesn't work. I'm assuming that this engine has been rebuilt at some point. I don't really know much about it. It does not leak any oil. Everything else on the truck leaks, but the engine does not leak. I don't know if it burns any oil. I've only driven it around my property. I've never really had this thing out on the road. I talked about the rat or the mouse droppings earlier, and right here I'm about to get scared by one. I'm talking about the truck and the engine. I look down in the door jamb. I looked down in the door jamb and the mouse was just staring at me. and then it turned and started walking back up into the fender. I'm sure there's probably at least a few of them living in this truck because it never moves that much. This thing is nasty. I got a bunch of trash in the bed. I got to get rid of that. Been sitting out here just getting all covered in dirt, moss, mildew. What is that green stuff? I am so happy that I got this thing running today. It seems to be idling really good despite the fact that the gas in it is a year old. I've been so busy at work and also working on other projects, I've really neglected this thing. My mouth is frozen today. I have plans for this to start working on it again. I'm going to be taking it over to my brother's house, hopefully tomorrow. We're going to start working on putting a tow hitch on it, redoing some of the wiring. One of the engine mounts is actually broken. I'm gonna have to get that replaced. I bought a seal kit for the PTO, but you know, the PTO for the dump bed, it leaks. Everything leaks. The transmission leaks. The engine does not leak. We're gonna be working on a lot of things. Hopefully gonna put some headers and a better exhaust on it. This truck will never be a show winner. I've said that before. It's in terrible shape. I just want to get it dependable where I can pull a tractor around with it, maybe go to the rock quarry. If you made it this far in my video, be sure to subscribe, and thanks for watching. Bye.